Instagram, TikTok?
No, give it a moment, please.
Okay. All right. Good morning. Hi, TikTok. I think you guys are ready to go. Oh, good evening. Thank you for reminding me. Sometimes I forget what time it is. So today we're going to talk about, Mira, we're not going to talk about, can you change the title?
Yeah, I'm changing it. It just takes time to. Is it good now? I removed it.
Oh, yeah, you removed it. So today we're going to talk about understanding the windows of tolerance, or the young people are changing it to being called the windows of capacity. So what we're going to do is anybody that's struggling with chronic anxiety, this live may be very helpful for you. But before we get started, we're going to talk a little bit about some things to be mindful of. For those that are new to this live, my name is Tiffany Tota. I'm a marriage and family therapist, over 20 years of experience working within our Middle Eastern communities and our cultural context. For those that are interested in knowing, I am a Palestinian American, born and raised in the United States. And with that said, I can tell you that those of you in other countries in the Middle East, you were probably raised with more modern values than those of us in the diaspora, where our parents immigrated in the 50s and عقلهم لسه في ال50s. So just to give you guys that context that I am here. The purpose of Community for International Arab is for all of us to come together in unity, kindness, love, acceptance. And the more each and every one of you can find awareness within yourself and to stay grounded in who you are as a person, that light within you will get to somebody else. But what we're seeing a lot, and why this generational trauma keeps happening, is because of the lack of awareness and the lack of spaces for Ihna al-Arab to come and talk about all the things that we deal with which impact our emotional health and wellness. So that's the introduction. I'm going to introduce you guys to my amazing assistant, Mira, who is going to give us some updates and to talk about all kinds of new things that we're doing here at Community for International Arab.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mira. I'm Tiffany's assistant. I would like to go through a couple of Yalla news. This is what we do every Wadih Wednesday. We have a couple of updates to let you know about. So one big thing is happening is that our website is now available. It's ready. You can go on there. You can find all the workshops. You can find the freebies. You can find all the details on the website. And yeah, because it was being updated for a while, but now it's ready. So if you'd like to check out the website, it's in the link tree on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. The second thing I would like to let you know about is that all the lives are always on YouTube. So if you'd like to go back to any topic that you felt like it spoke to you and you'd like to review the full live to get more tools to feel seen, you can always find this on YouTube on the playlist called Wadih Wednesday. And I'd like to also remind you that we have a freebie about self-doubt, and it's now you can find it in the link tree. You can find it also on the website. It's really helpful, and I'm excited to share it with you. We've been working on it. Tiffany has put a lot of effort in it, and it's a beautiful guide. So you can find it in the link tree. And the last thing is also, please remember that we're streaming on different platforms. So if it might take us a moment to get to your comment, but make sure we're seeing you. I'm here to help Tiffany see all your comments, and we're going to get back to you.
Thanks, Mira. And also on the website, the workshops for 2026 are all up there. They're monthly workshops. I also have a support group, which I'm super excited about. The support group's back. And that's all happening come 2026 January. You may want to start the new year off with really moving from a place of thinking about change and moving towards change. All right. So let's see. Let's connect with everybody on here. Let's see. Okay, where is everybody coming in from? Hey, Nadine, I think I saw your comment fly by.
Yeah.
Serene, who else? Crystal, hi. Crystal, miss you, Habibti. Let's see. Who else? Crystal's my cousin, just in case you guys didn't know. Hi, Adil from Egypt. I love that. Let's see. So I know we've got California in the house. We've got Egypt in the house. Let's see. Where's everybody else coming in from? Just so you guys can see, our community is large. Colorado. Yes, I was just in Denver. I love Colorado. It's amazing. Let's see. Anybody else? I can hardly see. Let's see. All right. So for those of you that are Antarctica, well, like is it Intamin Antarctica? Give us some proof. You know, the Arab, they have jokes, right? Antarctica, Cal. Egypt, welcome, welcome. I know I've been working with so many people in Kuwait and learning so much about that country. People from Egypt, Yemen, amazing. I'm just learning. Morocco, yes. The person, Sumia, who had done the website, she is from Morocco. Absolutely amazing work. Gina from Lebanon. Lebanon is in the house. My sister's there now. She spends a lot of time for Lebanon. Ehna Falastiniya, but she definitely loves Lebanon for many, many reasons. Let's see. Oh, Budapest. Okay, nice. Orange County. Hey, LA, Ibrahim. I love that. Philadelphia. Let's see. Yes. Let's see. I think it's FemCs. Yes, I am working on that. But we'll talk about that at another time. But just to let you know, I saw your comment. Yes, we are definitely, we have resources that I was just putting together this morning. All right, let's get started. What I'd like you guys to, all these lives, I want them to be meaningful to you, right? Do not take anything I say. If it doesn't resonate with you, let it go. So take this information and say, what makes sense to me? What resonates? What doesn't? And if you get triggered, to really use that as an opportunity to explore within yourself, what is it that I may be saying that is triggering? It's usually an indicator of where you may need to heal, or I may be saying something and call me out, whatever, you know, explore what that trigger is. But please, I'm asking everyone, your comments, please keep them related to today's topic, which is chronic anxiety. The more you can participate in a healthy way relating to the topic, the more all of us can come together and have a fruitful discussion. Okay. Now, today we're going to talk. So ask yourself, where's my anxiety at? So if you're at a 10 being very anxious, 0 not at all, ask yourself, take a deep breath, connect with your body and say, okay, where am I at today? Start to develop some awareness, and it's body awareness, and I'll talk about that a little later, around your states of being. I cannot emphasize how important it is for you to take a minute, be in stillness, and go, okay, today I woke up late. I rushed at work. My mom was tough-tiffing about, I don't know what. I had a conversation with Ahoy, and he was rude, as always. And now my anxiety is at an 8. That's okay. There's no judgment. Take a look at that. Now, one of the tools for managing chronic anxiety is a concept called the window of tolerance. I think now they're changing it to window of capacity. Now, this was coined by Dr. Dan Siegel. If you wanted to learn more theoretical aspects of the window of tolerance, but basically in a nutshell, what he described was a range of emotional arousal where a person can function and feel balanced. Okay, so there's a window where you can have an emotional arousal, where you can function and feel balanced. Each and every single one of us is going to be different in that. Only you can assess where is your window of tolerance. So within that window, this is so important. It's where you can think clearly, connect with others, make decisions calmly, even when life feels stressful. And in the autonomic nervous system, this would be called the ventral. Okay. Now, when anxiety or trauma starts to overwhelm the nervous system, we leave our window, this window out the door, and we move into what's called a hyperarousal state or a hypoarousal state. Now, one thing I can tell you guys working within Middle Eastern communities, I know this personally and professionally as a marriage and family therapist and working with Arab, that 10 being very anxious, most Arab I've worked with and know hover at about a 6 or 7 as a baseline. So somebody asked the question, what kind of signs? You're amnetivzet or amnetivis, you're irritable, difficulty sleeping, rapid heartbeat. I'll talk about more of those symptoms a little later. And I say this in generalities, and I know people get mad at me, but after 20 plus years of working in the field, I gotta tell you, there is a consistent 6 or 7 baseline, most Arab. So you wonder why your father starts yelling if somebody moved the cup from here to here, or your mom, some little thing happened and she's off the rails because their window of tolerance is very, very narrow. And so for you, growing up in this environment, your window of tolerance may also be very narrow, perhaps for even different reasons. So with that said, I know that within our cultural context, small things are usually an indicator of some of the larger things we are not addressing. So I'm saying this to you guys because it's important when you're managing your chronic anxiety for you to have more self-compassion, that if you're hovering at a 6 or 7, your window of tolerance is going to be narrow and things are going to stress you out and overwhelm you even more. Okay. So whenever I'm working with Arab, I say, well, if they're hovering at a 6 or 7 and we're talking about emotional regulation, it's going to take a little bit longer to decrease the anxiety. And it does take a lot of practice. If you're not practicing this daily or understanding this window of tolerance daily, change is going to be pretty limited. So let's talk about the 3 zones for this window of tolerance. The first one is the optimal zone. This is the place for you to go, okay, I feel calm, connected, grounded. I feel aligned, mind, body, being. So think about a time where you were at your optimum in your life. Now, it could be even when you were a little kid and you were playing and you felt mind, body, being, you felt so grounded in who you are. Think about a time when you were as an adult or as a young adult where you were able to feel and think at the same time. So you can have your feelings, but they didn't overwhelm you. You were able to slow down and think things through. Okay? So think about a time when you were at your optimal. This is where you are present, open, and steady. There's because calm, I don't like to use the word calm, especially within our cultural context, because we have so much happening externally. So it's like, oh, be calm. It's like, how can we be calm? Look at our world. We don't want to be calm. We want to be steady. So let's change that. When in your life were you steady? This is the body signs of that would be normal breathing, relaxed muscles. This is where your heart rate is steady. These are some of the body signals of that optimal zone. Let's see. The next piece, now when you're starting to move out of that window, hyperarousal. So that moves us into that fight or flight. So ask yourself, are you a fighter or are you a runner? There's no judgment. I can tell you, I am a fighter. When my nervous system goes out of this window of tolerance, I'm fighting you. Not physically. I have in the past, but not now, because I've done my work and I've moved through generational trauma. But I will still fight you as an example. Now, where are my fighters in the comments? So if you were to look at your hyperarousal state, are you a fight or flight? Now, you may not be in either one. I'm just curious to see for people to kind of connect with, are you a fight or flight? Anybody? Let's see, Gina, you're a flight. Okay. Nadine, I could be partially both, initially fight, then flight. Love that. I love that you guys are connecting to that. Anybody else? Yes, you absolutely can be both. Crystal, very good. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments. Let's see. Naseem, yeah, I can be both. Very good. Flight, Dolly. Okay, good. And Dolly, you put like a sad face. I'm telling you, it's okay. There's no judgment here. It's about awareness. Let's see. I think it's Chim SSXO, both, and Oriental Frog, flight. Very good. Yeah, let's see. Mahmoud, depends on situations. I love that. Very good awareness. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So this hyperarousal state, thank you, Juju. I see that. And you can be both. I appreciate it. Yeah, look at Naseem, both. You know what's interesting within a cultural context that this now, when I tell you about the hypoarousal, it's really interesting if those of you that have both, what happens to you. But let me go through the hyperarousal. This is where your nervous system is overactivated. I think Gen Z calls it overstimulated. They're like, I'm overstimulated. It's overactive. The body is on high alert. Now, we come from a cultural context where, I don't know about you guys, we were always on high alert. You walk into your auntie's house or your ammo's house, you're scanning, you're assessing who's here, who's there, which person is safe. Is this a good environment? Are they judging me for my clothes, my hair, my breathing? Okay. So again, within our cultural context, our hyper arousal state, our nervous systems, many times out of the womb, are already overactivated. We live in environments, this is not a judgment, where there is a lot of stimulation, a lot of happening. When we come from a collective culture, we're constantly getting this input. So your nervous system's like already, right? That 6 or 7 I was talking about. This is where anxiety, nervousness, panic, irritability, I think for Arab men, and I don't think we talk about your mental health and your emotional health enough, that irritability or anger tends to be the more safe emotion. And this is, I just want to validate for you that underneath that is a hyperarousal state of fight or flight. Because if you had to feel grief or sadness, it may be construed as weakness, okay? And which is not. I'm just letting you know that underneath that irritability or anger, that may be the more safe emotion for you to experience. But I digressed. So those are some common feelings. Racing thoughts, where I tell people, all the Western therapists I work with and consult with, Arab are some of the best ruminators I've ever worked with over my 25-year career. We have these racing thoughts. We are so good at rumination. We will thread out 9,000 different scenarios within 5 minutes. And to get us out of that ruminating loop, so I was like, you have to stop my people. Just stop them. We're not doing this. You see? But they don't understand that. They just let the Arab just keep going in this. I go, they'll go on forever because that's how my people are. We are really good at that. So if you're also someone who has these racing thoughts, know you're in a hyper arousal state. This goes with rapid heartbeat, boom, 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 tightness of your chest, this restlessness. You know how our families are always moving. We're always like, hick. Yeah. I talk about my teta on one of the videos. We're always hick. You can't even relax because everyone's always like overactivated. Well, that's part of everyone being in this hyper arousal state. Those of you that have difficulty sleeping, there could be lots of reasons for that. That's an indicator you may have a hyper aroused state. Okay, so we've got window of tolerance. You've got your hyper arousal state. So within the autonomic nervous system, you've got the ventral, the sympathetic. Now we're moving into the hypoarousal state, which is going to be the freeze or the shutdown response. And that's going to be the dorsal for those science people. This is in the autonomic nervous system. Now, the freeze response is also very, very common within our cultural context. It's almost like your nervous system shuts down. You're so overloaded. You're like, things are happening in front of you and you're frozen. You cannot think, you cannot move. Your body literally shuts down. This is very normal within our culture. Many situations, I think it was Mahmoud that says that it depends on the situation, that a freeze response can very much be an adaptive survival technique, that your body is so intelligent. It's saying, I'm just going to freeze. I just need to check out for a little bit. So when you're totally overloaded, this looks like numbness. You're detached. You're exhausted. You're feeling hopeless. Your body feels heavy, almost like you can't get up, right? Your parents, or maybe your mom, may have struggled with مش قادرة mama, مش قادرة أقوم. When she says that, did I say that right في العربي ميرا? I did? Was that right? Okay, just checking my Arabic. That your mom, if she says that, or if you yourself, your body feels heavy, you have very low energy, flat voice. It's like you can't even find your nefes, right? Your breath. It's like, oh, I can't even. And it's also a sense of disconnection. Now, I talk about my mom a lot. She's okay with me telling you guys. She talks about this sense of disconnection. She's in freeze and shut down a lot, where she talks about this sense of disconnection. She calls it la la land. Now, again, it's an adaptive survival technique. So you need to take a look. I want each and every one of you to go, okay, my window of tolerance, where am I at? What are some of the situations that may put me in a hyper arousal state, that fight, flight response? Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be an external situation. It could be your own internal ruminating thought. And then the last zone is the hypoarousal state of that freeze and shutdown. And there may be people or situations. I know with a lot of Arab that I work with, any kind of feedback at work can be very difficult, because they move into this, I'm going to get fired. Feedback equals getting fired, when that's not true. You're probably an amazing worker that nobody wants to fire you because we work so hard. So those are the 3 states. So I'm going to stop there and start answering some questions. Mira, how are we doing, Habibti? Wait, I can't hear you.
Oh, you couldn't hear me when I told you that you said it right in Arabic?
No, but I read your lips and it looked like it was.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then I have to put myself on stage every time if that's okay.
Yes, of
Uh,
course.
okay, so Jenna asked, what's the window of tolerance? I missed that part.
Yeah, so I'll briefly go over that. It's a range of emotions, emotional arousal, where a person can function and feel balanced. So there's a window that you have. Now, this is where I tell people, you checking in with proper sleep, nutrition, exercise, social engagement are going to be really key to really getting that window of tolerance robust and really ensuring that you're taking care of your body in a way that that window of tolerance is comfortable for you and is not so narrow.
Okay, we have Dolly asked, what kind of signs do I look for to be able to rate my anxiety?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about you if you cannot function, and only you can answer that if you're not at your optimum of functioning. So if you find yourself so nervous that you can't focus, difficulty concentrating, only you can gauge what your 10 is. I don't like to define that for people, but take a look at the signs. Yeah, let's see. I think it's
Yeah.
CHMSSXO. Yeah, says my brain stops braining. I love that. My brain stops braining. And can't think about anything. Yes, that's that hypoarousal state where you're just frozen. And again, you may want to take a look at again what triggered you to get to that where your brain stopped. What were the overloads? Most people within our cultural context override their stress responses because from a very early age we were taught to override our stress responses. That emotional suppression, the ma'alash, don't worry, insu, khalas, right? All that has taught us not to identify the triggers within our bodies. So for you to, when your brain does stop braining, to be able to go, what was happening before? And you want to take a step backwards. My sense is by the time your brain stopped functioning, clearly, it's still functioning, just not clearly, you may have overridden signs, the stress responses all throughout the day. Let's see. Excuse me. Sidine, I heard some people go into fawn responses. Yes, I don't like the word fawn because that feels very predatorial, but yes, I like to use the fold response. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes where it's a sense of people pleasing, uh, that is a whole other response. The fawn response would go under the hypoarousal. But because of our cultural conditioning, our collective culture, it's innate within us to please others. Where it becomes problematic is when it starts to go against you and your functioning. Let's see, Jenna. So people can be both hypo and hyperactive in stressful situations. Yes. And it's up to each and every one of you to take a look at, again, what are the triggers? You want to create awareness within your body around that. Okay, let me keep going. Thank you. Really good responses. Great questions. So, how does chronic anxiety narrow the window, right? In Middle Eastern communities, as we know, there's generations of stress, displacement, uh, migration experiences that, in what I've heard, are horrific, absolutely horrific in many cases. The pressure to stay strong. How many of you have heard that all your life? Stay strong, stay strong. Well, we're very strong. too strong. We need to slow ourselves down a little bit because it makes our nervous system constantly alert. It gives your nervous system no respite, right? And so over time, because you stay strong, constantly alert, constantly in this hyper vigilant, hyper aware state, it shrinks the window of tolerance, meaning even small stressors can trigger big reactions, worry, anger, or shutdown. I think I was talking to one of my cousins, maybe my sister, and we were talking about how any little thing that happens, many people within our family have these huge reactions for something that if you say to Wahada Americani, you're like, oh yeah, this happened and my mom or dad flipped out. And the American are like, that's just life. That's normal. And so, and it dawned on us whenever you talk to people outside of our culture that this window of tolerance is, again, it shrinks over the generations. Now, the younger generation, thankfully, is pushing against that to say, I don't want to be strong. I want to rethink what strength means. But that's for another life. So examples of this shrinking of the window is many times we're so afraid of disappointing our family or community, completely stressed out about that. Constant vigilance due to safety. So those from our LGBT community, in particular, safety and reputation concerns. I can't even imagine how difficult that is, the double life, and constantly being at this stress, living a life that not in its fullness. And this also goes for people who are dating people outside the Arab culture, or maybe outside the religion, or whatever the case may be. You may have difficulty resting because being calm feels unsafe. I have a video about that around my teta, that the more calmness, your nervous system is going to freak out because it is not used to that state. You may see it as calmness as unsafe. And I'm saying, well, how can we recondition that calmness, peace within? Sometimes you'll say, oh, I'm bored. And then we create more chaos, which leads to feeling guilty for relaxing or saying no. Now, these are examples of things that are going to shrink your window of tolerance, because if you're people pleasing, if you are constantly worried about other people, what they're going to say, what you're wearing, what you're going to do, like, think about that. That's why most Arab hover at a 6 or 7. Okay. Now, how do we expand this window? Now, there are practical tools. Now, when I say daily, I mean daily. That there's, I believe, 5. So the first one to expand your window of tolerance is body regulation. Now, this is where exercise, walking, stretching, shaking, movement. Arab, what I love about our culture is we love to dance. We love drumming, the breath work. So even chanting, prayer, all these things that it's to help ground the body. Now, this is where it's mindful movement. These are all things to help regulate our bodies. Working in the garden, nature, connecting with el art, right? These things, let's go back to some of our ancestral connection to the land. If we can take that back, there are so many beautiful things that our ancestors did to help regulate. My Sitti, my great grandmother, would actually do acupressure. I didn't even know that at the time that she would do these things with pressure points. And I said, oh, then I go get a acupressure appointment. I said, oh, my Sitti's been doing that all throughout my life. body regulation. So start to think about what are the things that are going to move you into that window of tolerance of grounding. What do you like to do? Is it painting? Is it art? Is it music? Is it puzzles? We don't do that enough, right? So find time to regulate your body. The next one, and to me, this is one of the biggest ones, is emotional awareness. Name the emotion. A lot of times it's just saying, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry. But because we come from a culture of emotional suppression, we don't necessarily name what we're feeling. Now, for some of you, you may not even know what you're feeling. So as a clinician working with my Arab clients, many times I have to name the feeling for them because that's not even in our sphere to understand our emotions. And again, it depends generationally. My generation, nobody understood emotions. Min marra. It was like emotions, shoe emotions. You're either working, we're going to school, and saktin, and that's it, and keep it moving. So this is where having emotional awareness is naming your emotions. Journaling can be very helpful for people. Therapy is also another place to have emotional awareness. Now, this is where instead of saying I'm anxious, which can be very, okay, what does that even mean? It's you want to name, my chest feels heavy. I feel a tension in my neck. My jaw feels tight. I have a headache. And so you want to name what you are feeling in the body and then connect it. Well, what does this mean? My tightness, this heaviness, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling hurt. And then you can drive that emotion from the feeling in the body if you connect to it. The next one, which I think is very big in our culture, is faith and meaning. Now, it doesn't matter the faith. Doesn't matter. They all say the same thing, okay? So it's about, for those of you, and if you're atheist, ignore this part, but how do you find meaning within your life? We are meaning makers as human beings. What meaning can you bring? What spiritual reflection? Trust in divine timing. Now, I did a whole series on sabr, patience, last week. And a lot of times it's viewing calmness or feeling grounded in just trusting and doing what you need to do daily, and things will unfold. Now, that could be very hard for some people, and that's okay. Faith and meaning can also be extremely helpful, especially in very difficult situations, to expand your window of tolerance. The next one, which is what we do here, is connection. Talking circles, family support, trusted elders. Now, I don't know about you guys, but where do we have talking circles? That's why I started this Community for International Arab, because there wasn't a lot of connection. I know there are spaces out there, and I'd love for people to share with me those spaces. Trusted elders. I know growing up, we didn't have many elders telling us to be united, be on your path. I'm here to support you, allowing us to cry in their arms. Most of us were crying in a fetal position in a corner with nobody holding us. And again, it's not a judgment on the elders. Yet, can you be that? Where are the elders in your life that you can turn to? And can you be an elder to the younger generation? Because this is what they need. Okay. And so connection is so important. We want to emphasize community care rather than individual struggle. Right now, our windows of tolerance, because everyone's struggling individually, no one's talking about these things, our window of tolerance can increase if we just talk about all this stuff. The next one, boundaries and self-compassion. Saying no is a really good one. Which I know is hard in our culture. And so I say, instead of saying no, can we say not yet? Okay. I'll serve you and be everything to you, but not yet. and you may want to take care of yourself first. Resting is really important. Can you allow yourself some rest? Most of the time when we're in a hyper arousal state, what do most people in our community do? They work more. They're like a hamster on the wheel. They just keep going, going, going. And I said, no, stop, take a deep breath. When you're zooming like that, you want to slow down. But cultural conditioning is when you're anxious or when you're feeling nervous, you do more work. And I'm telling you, from this window of tolerance or window of capacity, our autonomic nervous system, when you're hyper aroused, you want to slow down. Your nervous system will thank you for that. Setting realistic expectations. One of the beautiful things and why most of us are very successful is because we have very high expectations of ourselves and very high expectations of others, which can, one sense, be very good. Other sense can be quite problematic when we're not setting realistic expectations of how much we can do. It's almost like we think we're superhuman, that we could be everything to everyone at all times. And that is a recipe for a very narrow window of tolerance. So we want to reframe this self-care, particularly within our cultural context, as, that fulfilling your responsibility to others. Let's reframe that in the more you can care for your mind, your body, your soul, your being, the more you'll be able to give to others. Okay? I know that feels counterintuitive. However, the more you can be rested, fed, at your optimum, you in that window of tolerance more often than that hyperarousal or hypoarousal state, the more you'll be able to give back. Okay? So, how are we doing? So, here are some reflection questions. Let's take a deep breath and ask yourself, when I feel anxious, what happens in my body first? Your body will have a wealth of information if you just pay attention to it. This is for a whole other life. Many of us, we were disconnected from our bodies for lots of reasons. So when you feel anxious, what happens in your body first? And the better you can get at that, the more you'll be able to understand your window of tolerance. What situations push me outside of my window of tolerance? Now, I know I'll put myself on the hot seat. When I'm with certain family members, their breathing can just take me out of their window of tolerance. Okay? I don't mean to be dramatic, but sometimes we're dramatic. Yeah. I could just look at their face and go, oh God, I'm already overactivated, overstimulated. And so my work, it's not about them. Their breathing is fine. They're free to live. However, for me, it's about looking within myself and saying, okay, how do I increase my window of tolerance? And that begins with breathing, maybe taking myself away from, I'm a big dishwasher. Let me wash my dishes. Let me take a break. Let me disconnect for a little bit. So I'm not so hyper attuned to that person and their face, which causes me extreme distress. So think about that for yourself. What people, places, or practices, so now we're moving into that do help you feel safe again. Okay? What helps you feel safe? This is going to be key because safety, the more you can find safety, the more you will be in your window of tolerance and increase your capacity to manage chronic stress. Okay? The last question. How can I bring more calm in my daily routine? Now, I've said that numerous times throughout this live. What are you doing daily? Because you know what I love about our people? I love our people, but I got to call it like it is. It's like we do one thing and we're like, oh, khalas, okay, self-care. And then you're in 3 weeks of stress, and then maybe you'll do one thing, 3 weeks of stress, and then do one thing. It doesn't work like that. I tell all my clients, I tell my cousins, my family member, like, it does not work like that. Every day, and even if it's for 5 minutes, where can you find your steadiness? Your steadiness. Sometimes it could be in your car or on a walk, and you're in nature, and or connecting with a friend. Can you daily find that routine for yourself and stop allowing other people and other things to override your calm, which is usually what happens. We go from work or school to our families to this to that, friends, and then somebody calls, and then you're being pulled and pulled and pulled. Where is your calm? So the key message that I really want to share with this live is your nervous system is not broken. This is where that self-compassion. Many of us are the wombs, when we were in our mother's womb, if she was under chronic stress or in a stressful environment, when we were born, our little nervous systems were already overactivated. Okay. Have some self-compassion. And then we're in an environment that is overactivated. No one is giving you tools. No one is affirming you. No one is holding you. For some of you, I'm not saying all of you. And you have to remember your nervous system, when you're in that hyper arousal or hypo arousal, it's trying to protect you. So let's have some self-compassion. It's a protective survival mechanism that all I'm encouraging you to do is to slowly heal your anxiety within our communities by having us create awareness around learning what calm, steadiness, safety feel like, that they're not signs of weakness, that they are the foundations for strength, connection, and faith, and increasing that window of capacity for you to face whatever life throws at you in a way where you're not doing more harm to your own body and more harm to your own emotional health and wellness. Okay. So your nervous system needs safety. If there's one thing you could take away from today, is that. Where do you find safety in your life? And sometimes just creating that calm begins with slowing your breath down. Maybe we try it now. Inhale through the nose for 4. And exhale through the mouth for 6, slowly, like you're blowing out of a straw. Okay. Inhale through the nose for 4. You want to hold it, and then exhale like you're blowing out of the straw for 6 to 8 counts. If you get lightheaded or you feel kind of woozy, that speaks to the restriction you may be holding with your breath. So slow breathing. Another one I really like for practicing calmness in the body is progressive relaxation, where you gently tense a muscle and then you release it. So even if you're online and you're in a staff meeting, you can hide it underneath, right? You can hide it and you can tense your body and then release it. So you can find online progressive muscle relaxation exercises, which I think can be very, very good for the body. The other one I really like are wall pushes, where you push against a wall. Okay. Sensory grounding. So if you're feeling very activated, you want to notice 3 things you see, hear, and want to feel. So when I talk to you about like going to a family gathering and that one person's face just sends me into an oblivion, many times I will look at, oh, mahlal sura, oh, حلو flowers, oh, look how, oh, I'm listening to maybe the dishes running or the smell of the delicious food. So you want to focus your attention outside of that. The other thing is cultural grounding. I think, did somebody that talk about, like, you see the uncles with the prayer beads, or you know, cultural grounding can be lots of things, through drumming, through prayer, through chanting, whatever it is, through movement. Find those things for you. Mira, how are you doing on time? Oh, we're almost done.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of questions. It's mainly people just answering your questions or talking about the topic, but no questions.
Should I keep going? All right, we've got
Yeah.
another 4 minutes here. So let me give you a couple more techniques. One of the biggest things I can encourage you to do is build emotional awareness for yourself. It's so key. Many Middle Eastern communities express distress physically rather than emotionally. So expanding the window means naming emotions safely. So I don't know about you guys. There was a lot of distress. There, you know, people didn't know how to talk nicely. You know, the uncles arguing and yelling. Sometimes things would be thrown. Sometimes people would be slamming doors, or, you know, taking their cup. You know, there was a lot of that. They are expressing this emotional stuff physically, instead of saying, wow, I'm feeling really flooded right now. I don't agree with what this cousin is saying. Let's see, Rania, what did you say? Turning tables upside down. Shufti, I saw that in college. Yeah, the Arab, you're at a meeting, you know, trying to build unity and community, and they're like fighting with each other and flipping tables over. Yeah, I've seen that. Well, look, the good news is they're expressive. The not so good news is they don't have the emotional language to be able to express that in a healthy way. So, what can you do for you? I feel tightness. You want to say to yourself, I'm feeling distant. I'm feeling lonely. I feel worry. Now, the more you can use simple language to name your feelings, it takes away their power and it will increase your window of tolerance. Emotion tracking. This is where working with a clinician, working with a therapist, talking to a friend, journaling your feelings. You can use, also nowadays, there's so many mood trackers. You can identify the states of where you're at over a week, and just see what are the situations. Where am I at? For those that like data, those things are really good measures for that. I like to do even more simple things like body check-ins. What is my body trying to tell me right now? So every time I walk through a doorway, I do a check-in. I do a breathe, and I go, where am I at? Oh, I'm feeling kind of hungry. Oh, I'm a little tired. Oh, that conversation I had kind of left me feeling yucky. What was that about? What was yucky about that conversation? Oh, I felt judged, or I felt like they were trying to put me down, or I felt like they were trying to demand something of me and I didn't want to deal with it. Do those check-ins. Ask your body, what is your body trying to tell you? And simple as, body, what do you need right now? Now, we come from a culture where who asks you what your needs are? So you need to get into really, you don't need to do anything, but I'll encourage you to get into good habits. What do you need? What does your body need? And the more you can do that, you're going to increase that window of tolerance, decreasing your chronic anxiety. Now, anytime you're in a chronic anxiety state or situation, one of the things to strengthen regulation usually is through routine. Because many of us grew up in these very unpredictable environments, our nervous systems are connected to the chaos. And so you want to find calm in the chaos by establishing some routine for yourself. Now, what that means is up to you, because predictability helps your nervous system feel safe. Let me say that again. Predictability helps your nervous system feel safe. So eating and sleeping at consistent times can be very helpful, especially with our blood sugar levels and the diabetes and the insulin resistance. I'm not a health professional. However, these things can also help regulate your emotions. That's why I say before you go into a family gathering, don't go in there starving. Eat a little something. Make sure your blood sugar is stable before you go into those environments. Daily include moments of quiet reflection or prayer, whatever that means to you. Exercise, take short breaks, stretch, walk, step outside. So now in our world with our phones and our screens, we're constantly indoors. Get outside if you can. One thing I love is our ritual of drinking tea, our mint tea. I love that about our culture. Drinking tea, soft music, really putting yourself in environments that are going to lower your nervous system, not increase it. Use safe connection. Connection is also a very powerful emotional regulator. I always say no therapy is better than poor therapy. Sometimes sitting with a good friend that's going to listen to you and affirm you, a hug from somebody that you can feel safe with can be profoundly regulating in connection. And that's where therapy can also be very helpful. Talking to someone where you feel safe and that will listen to you without judgment. Joining Community for International Arab, joining a support group, participating in a workshop of our people, I think is really important. Many of us, we practice co-regulation by being with somebody that's calm. You're not going to get calm sitting in space with your your cousin that's like, you're not going to be calm. You're going to leave that lunch being more activated than, so be really careful around that. And remember, community care is just as important as self-care. Us taking care of each other is just as important as self-care. And this is where if someone is in an anxious state, for you to try and be as calm as possible, there's nothing more healing. So if our mothers are in an anxious state, don't match that energy. Stay as neutral as possible. Have your own window of tolerance. Stay grounded in who you are. You don't even need to say anything to her or your dad. Just you being in your peace, it may trigger them. However, over time, I can tell you they will also find their own regulation. With that said, that's not your responsibility, but focus on you. But my point is, we need to take care of each other. And we can do that by taking individual responsibility in how we're moving in our communities and within our families. Practicing self-compassion is so key. It is so important. Shame and self-criticism tighten the window. Compassion widens it. So the more compassion you can have, the more you can widen that window. It's okay to rest. It's okay to feel safe. All right. So with that said, I hope the techniques were very helpful. Remember, gentle movement, seek professional help if the chronic anxiety gets to a point where you cannot function. We're here to support you in any way that we can. We've got the Arab Therapist Directory. We've got lots of videos on YouTube. We've got workshops coming up. We're here to support you in managing this chronic anxiety in a world that's very anxious right now. So let us support each other. Let us hold each other in light. Let us give one another the compassion that we need so that we can move forward in our world from a place of love. And with that said, I wish you guys a very wonderful evening, a good night, a beautiful day, wherever you are in the world. Right? Nawar, the light in me sees the light in you, and together we will heal our communities. All right, everybody, take care.